Well, hi, everybody. Right now, you are in the Bully-Proof Classroom, and we are in the 10-hour course everybody knows, and we're covering Topic 3 right now. And this presentation is on medicalizing of education. And I'm not going to get into a debate with anyone over whether or not medication should be used to quell unseemly behavior or to deal with ADD or ADHD or ODD. The point that I want to make here is that oftentimes meds are the first things used and not the last. And that's a very big concern for me. That you could take a youngster who could be 6, 7, 8 years old, whose behavior could be related to poor boundaries, poor parenting, poor discipline, no consequences. The list goes on. And you have to remember that kids draw from their memory. They know what was done to them and how they were disciplined in the past. And if mom or dad gave 3 or 4 warnings, or if any time they threw a tantrum they got what they wanted, and now you get to school and there's a demand placed on them, they're going to look like behavior problems. They're going to look like spoiled kids, kids that are left uncorrected, and by default, if we don't correct them, we look like we agree with the behavior. So this kid has come to school with this attitude. And again, it's not whether or not medication helps. Medication is designed to tune up the brain. That's what it's there for. And we have to be aware of that. Now, if you talk to any therapist, they're going to tell you that they will provide therapy for their patients, and if the therapy isn't making sense to the patient, it's not grabbing on to some of those it's not connecting. It's almost like it's not getting glued into the brain so the brain can use it for future use. Then they need to go on medication. And it is very true that therapy plus medication, it equals results. Now, we have to look at it from the standpoint of our situation educationally. Consequences plus medication equals success. And I have been in many situations where kids who have oppositional defiant disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, they don't hold the kid accountable, and they basically say, well, maybe he didn't take his medication today. If you don't have consequences associated with the medication, what's going to happen is the medication may slow the kid down, but it's not going to give him better judgment. It's not going to help him make the right choices. It's not going to be something that he's going to be able to, the learned behavior has already been put into his random access memory, that beautiful computer that we call the brain, and that's where he's getting his information from. And until we can change the way the kid thinks, no amount of medication is going to improve the behavior. It may include it may help reduce some impulses and so on, but it's not going to change the behavior. The change comes with the consequence. The change comes with the consequence. Now, where were ADD and ODD 40 years ago? Well, they didn't exist, or they weren't invented yet. It wasn't an available condition, and most people will say, well, these kids were around. Well, they were around. There's no question about it. These kids were in our schools and so on. But these kids were few and far between. You didn't have a lot of them. And the ones that you did have, they were given a few options. Go to adult school, go to an alternative school, get your GED, drop out and get your GED, go to a trade school, or you know what, we'll sign papers that said you spent 4 years here, and we'll let you join the service. So those kids didn't hang around a lot because it interfered so dramatically with the learning process. Unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth. It's Albert Einstein. He knew a little bit. I'm not sure that he didn't have attention deficit disorder, if you read his history. Now, what happens when we discover that disrespect is the norm? In other words, this has been going on and on and on and on, and all of a sudden everyone's just putting up with it. And they're hiding behind an organic label, a biological label, saying that it is something that came down through the DNA molecules. It's something that, this kid inherited. It's some type of condition that he has. Well, the last time I looked, giving a teacher the finger wasn't an organic problem. It was a learned behavior. And you get enough people doing that and enough people to put up with it, okay, we create a condition to support the behavior. And we've done that, and that's occurred like about 30 years ago. We created conditions to support the behavior because there was too many kids in the school with this condition or this behavior. Look, years ago, if one person burned the American flag, they'd throw him in jail. What do you do if 5,000 people burn the flag and the jails aren't big enough to hold them? Same thing here. Years ago, a few kids had the condition. We were able to deal with them. What do you do if a whole school has something going on? You create the condition to support the behavior, and then you can rely on medication to do the job that you hope it will do, but it really doesn't. And it's all of this is based on poor discipline, poor boundaries, lack of consequence, too many problems with parents complaining, parents coming in saying you're berating my kid. You can't even correct a kid anymore because the mother will come in and start bawling us out. So kids get left to themselves. They become disrespectful. They become irresponsible. And before you know it, okay, they end up with a condition. And that's where we're at right now. Will medication help kids with ADHD? If they have organic ADHD, biological ADHD, where there's something physically wrong with them, probably it'll do the job. But I will bet my bottom dollar that it's not caused by an organic problem. It's more the fact that kids have drawn the conclusion that they can get away with being rude, disrespectful, irresponsible, unkind, bully, intimidate, and almost engage in criminal behavior in a school. Today, when a kid acts up, it's usually attributed to the fact he doesn't take his medication. When it should be, he's not being disciplined effectively. Today, when a kid acts up, we'll say he didn't take his meds. When it should be, he's not being disciplined effectively. You just heard my doorbell go off. Actually, it was my phone. I should have put it on silent. But we're taking a course and things happen. It's like you're with me face to face. So, you're going to find the solutions to this problem in the solution presentation. It's already up there as a document in your course. And the solution will be there as part of the presentation as well. So, this is where we're at. Kids aren't being disciplined effectively. We create conditions to support the behavior. We don't have respect for authority. We're dealing with a condition that wasn't around 40 years ago, but it just happened to be around now. You have to have consequences in meds, as therapists will say. You need therapy in meds. And again, I didn't shut my phone off. Meds first, not last. That's what we're doing right now. We're not even considering changing a behavioral plan. We're putting the kid on medication. And here it is. We're right back to where we started from. We've medicalized education. Check out the solutions. Read the solution document. This is another problem that everybody knows about, but nobody talks about.